for less than an ounce for persons under 21 years of age. And we knew this would happen. We suspected it would happen. It happened in Colorado. It happened in Washington. And it happened here in Eugene. And in 2014, we had 0. In 2015, we had 91 arrests. And so far this calendar year, we've had 64. Now, you're probably going to wonder where most of these arrests occurred, and I'll tell you that they occurred mainly around schools. I provided a very large heat map over there. This gentleman's nice enough to let us use his table for it. But what you'll see is big red dots. And the big red dots are basically locations of the school in the downtown mall. And the other dots that you'll see are around the high schools. And this is predominantly in the high school. That's what we saw. We suspected it would happen. Kids are going into their parents' stash, taking it to school, and then getting arrested for it. We knew it would happen. It happened. The data shows that what we thought would happen occurred. The other area that we thought we would see an increase in, and we have, is really around driving under the influence. And this one is pretty unfortunate. When we look at our DUI stats, the way they're kept is they don't really specify necessarily whether it's marijuana or another drug, unless we do a hand search of every report that we have. So that is my caveat to you, right? But when it comes to alcohol arrests, we're actually down from the 2-year average by 6%, right? Very good. When it comes to arrests for drugs and drugs by themselves, we are up 86%. And then when it comes to both alcohol and drugs, we are up 138%. So it gets back to being a responsible user, not driving when you're under the influence, making other choices regarding that. Don't drive high, right? But people are choosing to do that. And I wish I could break out how much of it is marijuana versus meth versus another substance, and I can't for you. But I can tell you that those numbers are striking in and of themselves, and the correlation is the timing of legalization. So we can extrapolate out from that. In other things, generally the arrests areas went down, and I know people are curious about that. So people really aren't getting arrested for having more than 8 ounces. We've had 1 arrest in 2015, 1 arrest so far in 2016. We still arrest folks for delivery for consideration. Interesting loophole in the law is you can't sell it illegally out on the street or on the mall. But ironically, if you buy less than an ounce and you walk away from that purchase, you've kind of gotten away with something. So, something to consider. Please don't do it. Please. It goes along with driving under the influence. Please don't do that either. So that's how we've been handling it. We've kind of had a hands-off approach, pretty much. We want people to be safe and to be wise about it. We don't want our kids to be using it and taking it to school. And we don't want folks driving under the influence and operating other heavy machinery if they so choose to. But in terms of the good neighbor policy, I think it's been working all right. We still get regular complaints about neighbors who have too many pots or growing a skunk farm on the corner. We still get those, and what we tell folks is to try to be a good neighbor. Go talk to your neighbor, and then we send it off to land use. And so I don't actually have land use data for you. It was something that I was hoping to get, but I don't have that. So I don't know how many complaints they've received. But usually it's about too many plants or the overwhelming odor of marijuana. Those are the types of things that we hear. But we send others to go deal with it. We're not taking enforcement action on it. So it's a lot. They gave me 20 minutes to tell you that we have exactly found what we thought would happen. But Armageddon did not happen, I think, as some people had predicted, so that's a good thing. And I know that folks may have questions about all of this, so I'm happy to answer anything. Yes, ma'am. So the question is, are police officers allowed to smoke marijuana? And the answer to that is no. And the reason being, it's still federally prohibited, and I'm required to follow federal law. So in 2 years, 360 days, I could choose to. But right now I can't. I lose my job. The other people who can't use marijuana at the City of Eugene are people who drive vehicles with a CDL license. So they can't. And then exempt employees cannot. And that's by city, that's the city manager. Am I allowed to purchase it? I would choose not to. Because I can't possess it. It's still federally illegal, and as someone who's sworn to uphold those laws and regulations, no. Nor would I allow it at my house. But that's me.
Other questions for Jennifer?
It's like the Donahue Show, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah, I got a question for you about enforcement. Whether the people how do you test if they're under the influence of marijuana? I've been doing some research on this. And the tests that I was a former policeman, the tests that we used in the past, shake it up and test it, are worthless.
Oh, the NIC test.
Yeah, those things, they're worthless. So I don't know what that has to do with
They've gotten better.
Well, still, they're not. There is not one on the market that's 100%.
So what we do, possession of marijuana is a violation. So I can tell you as an adult approaching 50 that I can determine marijuana if I see it and smell it. And judges tend to believe me on that one. I went to the University of Oregon. They really do believe me. So when it comes to marijuana and testing it for DUI, I'm a little stale on that, but blood and urine are the standard. So they take it and we bring someone in to do the test for that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 1984, I saw something on TV that they had invented a helmet that could detect one of 3 different kinds of drugs a person had ingested, and I wondered if the Eugene Police Department was planning to use any of this new technology. I would hope not.
So I'm sorry, I missed part of the question, but there's technology out there?
There's a helmet that I saw on TV in the 80s that could detect 3 different kinds of drugs that a person had done. The policeman would put the helmet on a person's head. And I'm wondering if you were planning to use any of that technology.
You know, we've not considered any sort of technology like a helmet or anything. We still sort of set with the standards of blood, urine, and breath. So I think there was Brian, what's your question?
Not so much a question, it's just I decided to say this rather than not say it. And that is, I'm obviously going to be talking later on, and one of the things I talk about is marijuana Jewies. I don't want to think that I did that because you left, so I would welcome you to stay and ask me questions, but if you want to go, that's certainly all right. But I just wanted to let you know that that's what I was going to do, so you didn't think I did it behind your back.
Oh, no, that's fine. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know. Young woman right here had a question, I believe. She forgot. There's a gentleman over there.
Is there any technology currently available to do a breathalyzer that will test for cannabis use?
The question was about breathalyzer for cannabis use. You know, I don't know right now. I know that Colorado and Washington are looking at different methodologies for better, more accurate testing. We don't have that here yet, and I know that we're not looking at it for Eugene Police. We're still working on other things, so.
My question was just about on-site testing, about for DUIs with marijuana.
So this is the way. So I'm not telling you how to get out of the Dewey. What I'm going to tell you is don't drive under the influence, because that's the only message you should really be hearing from me. But when it comes to DUI testing, the first thing we do in the state of Oregon is we test for alcohol. So you're going to go back, you're going to have a breathalyzer. And when the breathalyzer comes up with big old goose eggs, or it comes up with something, but we're looking at you and you clearly look high, then we'll bring in a drug recognition expert who then does a whole bunch of other tests, and then from there, blood or urine, depending on which way they go. That's the process. So the presumption is alcohol first, then marijuana later, or other drugs.
I know that you said that there's an association between the amount and what constitutes a DUI. I have cancer, and I was cured using medical marijuana. I will be on a maintenance dose for the rest of my life. There is no way that this impairs me as far as driving goes, and I know lots of people in my situation who are under the same doctor's therapy and are doing this, and they are not impaired. So how can you make some sort of ruling about this when there's a lot of sick people, and believe me, there's going to be a lot more that are going to start doing the same thing?
Well, that's a fair question. So first off, let me say that I honor your fight for cancer, and cancer totally sucks. So good on you for doing that. The answer, and I'll give you sort of the general answer on all of this, is that if you are suffering or dealing with a day-to-day issue that requires that you take marijuana, or let's say oxycodone, or Percocet, or Darvocet, or Phenergan, I would ask, I mean, the question is, how do you know if you're impaired? Well, if you have all these driving things, like you're hitting the curb, you're slow at the stop, you know, you're stopping at the go, you're going at the stop, those are all the things we kind of add on when we look at your impairment, and then we would test you, and if it came up positive for marijuana, that's how the case is built. I mean, it's not a mystery about how these things are done. If you are ingesting something that alters your ability, even if it just makes you even to get through your day, consider other alternatives to driving. It really is about impairment. And I hear the argument about when I smoke marijuana, I drive better, or I'm not impaired. I've heard that with alcohol. I've heard truckers say that with methamphetamine. All I'm saying is I would prefer, as a motorist out there, people don't drive under the influence. Influence means you've ingested it. Until the laws change, don't do that. And but I totally appreciate your situation. It puts you in a tough spot for travel. And I'm sorry for that.
I know you said earlier that you could not tonight break down the statistics that you've provided for us to show what is methamphetamines and what is marijuana. And for driving, are these DUIs, are they for opioids or benzene?
Correct.
Or are they for,
Correct.
Does the department break that information down and make it public on the website or anywhere else? Because I would like to know.
We don't, because it'd be a hand search. We'd have to go through every report and then look at every supplemental report that would come back. And there's just so many of them, we don't do that. They're not broken down that way. Again, we always assume that if you're DUI, it's going to be alcohol-based until you get the big old goose eggs, and then we go for the next thing. Or if we're looking at you and you're sweating profusely and twitching, and you're drunk, we'll look at, for maybe meth, right? So.
Over here, in terms of testing, it's not conclusive or certifiable, but possible for probable cause, waving a voodoo donut in front of someone, and if their eyes light up and they start to salivate, that's...
But how does that work for law enforcement when we can't smoke marijuana? Because we have the same physiological reaction to donuts. I mean, that is the way that works, right? Just saying. I like the Marshall Mathers if you're going to consider buying me one.
Hi. I have a question on growing your 4 plants on your property. And now that it's almost harvest season, how is the Eugene Police Department going to be treating those families that call you and say, somebody broke into my backyard and they took every single one of my plants? Are they going to treat that like somebody stole my lawn furniture the same way? I mean,
It's outside? Yeah, they'll treat it like a criminal mischief or a theft, or depending on what they do to steal it, yeah. Yeah, we've, that's a good question. Can I just dovetail on that? We have seen an increase in burglaries of establishments that are retail marijuana establishments or growers or the distributors. And the one thing that we would say is that don't hesitate to call the police department if you're in this business and think that you're not going to get good service. You will get good service. We know that you're a business person and that you want to have this report taken, and we don't want to encourage the thieves from doing it and encourage that black market from growing. So it's a dangerous business, it's a cash business. Until that changes, we want you guys to be safe too, because you're part of the community. So don't hesitate to file the police reports on that.
I just want to go back to being pulled over and the testing of marijuana. The person that has cancer, the marijuana that he's using is much higher in CBD and much lower in THC. In fact, with today's scientific breakthroughs, you can actually get marijuana with almost no THC whatsoever. And so that's the active ingredient that may make a person impaired. So if you were to pull somebody over and they appeared to have smoked marijuana via the smell or what have you, is there a difference in the testing between the THC, which would be impairment, or the CBDs? Just like I could have non-alcoholic drinks, or I could have porter.
Right, you smell like beer after having some non-alcoholic beer.
Right.
Right, near beer. So the answer to that is science, and I would have to get back to you on it. I don't know how the Oregon State Lab does that, but I'm happy to give you my card, and you can email me or call me, and I'll find out the answer for you. I don't know. Okay, yeah, you're welcome.
Jennifer, first of all, thank you for your time. My name is Sean Beeman. I'm the owner of Genesis Farms here in Eugene. And we specialize in making medicinal products, but in the dispensaries we do have some lightweight versions of recreational products that are available to people over 21 and over. My question to you, is it legal for me at this time to hand people over 21 this product at this location tonight? For free, without consideration.
They're 21 and better?
Except for you, of course.
Well, yeah, except for me and my colleagues. You can't do that. That would not be legal. So your question is, can you hand out samples?
Honey sticks.
Honey sticks. Cannabis, I was going to say honey
Correct.
sticks. Yeah,
Cannabis infused honey sticks.
Do they taste good?
They do. I'll meet you in 2 years and 361 days.
You know, I don't know. I will call OLCC and get you the answer. Again, I will give you my card. I don't want to give anybody wrong information. So the handing out of the edible stuff is kind of tricky. I need to explore that a bit more. You want to hand them out tonight? I'm leaving in like 10 minutes.
And every one of them is under an ounce, so there's your little gray hole there.
As long as they're under an ounce, go. I don't know. I can't say yes or no. I don't know.
Once again, thank you for your time, Jennifer.
You're welcome. It looks like we have one more question.
One just quick consideration. This venue does have its OLCC license, so sampling at this location tonight.
You got to deal with OLCC on that.
Yes.
Those people are
Yes.
a different animal than us.
Okay. Please respect the venue tonight. We've got one more question.
I know before we made it legal here in Oregon, everyone was saying that your traffic accidents will triple, that everybody that didn't smoke before was going to be on the road. My belief was that everyone that smoked before is going to keep on smoking, but they'll be more open about it, that's all. And what I want to know is how much have traffic accidents increased because we're legal now?
So the question is, have we seen an increase in traffic accidents related to marijuana? Is that correct? Just in general? Well, that is a very good question, and again, I did not bring ODOT data with me, but ODOT has their own website, which I'm sure is available with that information in terms of overall traffic crash data. That's a good question. I can say that what we've seen at Eugene, the ER has seen an increase of people showing up with children that have snacked on the marijuana. So that's the only other thing that I've seen happen and I know about. But again, I don't have those stats. I think that's a great message. As kids, stay out of your parents' stash. She nailed it. So again, you guys are great. Thank you for having me back. You're the best crowd I've seen all week. I will leave a stack of business cards back on that table over there if folks can grab it. And I know there's always people in the crowd who are too shy or embarrassed or don't want to talk to the cop. So feel free to email me. Email's way better than calling me because I can check it at home and respond back quicker. But thank you again.
Thank you so much for your time and taking the stage yet a second time.